we have indoctrinated a generation of the only way that you're going to get into this 6-digit figure income is you have to go to college. And I tell you, I say to you, no. I say it's far from that. I mean, I got a friend of mine here in the Memphis area that is sanding and finishing floors and has done it his entire career, Stephen, and he's making more than most doctors that I know.
Hey, welcome to All Things Wood Floor, brought to you by Wood Floor Business, your fellowship of hardwood floor pros worldwide. I'm your host, Steve Diggins. We got nearly 50,000 online subscribers, 37 podcasts, and close to 20,000 downloads. We've knocked off the rust and dust together ages ago. And as I like to say, as a team, we got this. You listeners and subscribers are truly our best and brightest, and we really do appreciate all that you do. So in this episode, joining the ATWF Two-Timers Club, David Ford of Stauf Adhesives USA. A little different today. We're going to be talking about the reverence and respect that floor pros have for our industry. We're going to talk strategies for future business success and why what all you do is so brilliantly unique and extremely important. With no further delay, David Ford of Stauf USA, welcome to All Things Wood Floor and floor pros around the world. Let's get to it. So now just backing up a little bit, Stauf Adhesives, is it technically Stauf USA or Stauf Adhesives USA? What's the official title of the company?
I think the official title is Stauf USA LLC, but most of us just say Stauf Adhesives. Most of us know it as that.
In New England, there wasn't a lot going on in adhesives for decades and decades, and now it's monstrous. Do you see that? And how many years have you been in this?
Just with Stauf alone, 21 years.
Right. So did you see that around the country? I know 2 decades ago we didn't glue anything. And a decade ago, maybe we had to if you did a store or something. But it just popped up in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot more engineered, better applications for adhesives. Did you see that? Were there pockets around the country that just weren't hip to adhesives?
Yeah, I think that what I was seeing was the fact that people had not caught up. I don't want to say people. I want to say the retailer was offering it, but still didn't know how to sell the idea of now we have engineered floor that has the same appearance, look, overall length, but better performance as solid hardwood. And I think that is attributed to technology. You start sawing tops and you can get them just like you would a piece of lumber, right?
So when you go through that, but things have changed. When I first started with it, we were doing testing for, let's say, Bruce, and it was Bruce LP mastic, thick, black as tar, not far removed from cold stick. You needed 2 hands to muscle the trowel. That has changed so drastically many times over, correct?
Yeah. I mean, technology has surpassed where we were. I mean, I spread a lot of the old Bruce LP, 7-Eleven type products, the old solvent types of products, and just a lot of it. And it was very, it was very energy consuming and then time consuming. You had to wait for flash and a lot of that. It just technology has just gone so much further than that now. And I find, but the overall, I guess the overall bottom line is we're able to do glue a little faster and a whole lot more sticky, if you will.
I always get it wrong. Is it silane, like the newer, not saline? People say saline. It's silane?
Silane, S-I-L-A-N-E.
Amazing. We got the first shipments of it. It took us for years to get certain adhesives, and we finally get them as a distributor. And then we started getting silane, and somebody would be stuck on a job and have to use it, and they didn't want it, and they'd come back and go, that's all they ever want again. It was like spreading mayonnaise.
It is. And interestingly enough, Stauf is the first one to market with that here in the United States. Yeah, we brought it in 20 years ago, and it's funny that it's finally caught on. And kind of, I remember doing the very first advertising campaign with it. I don't remember exactly which magazine or where it was, but I remember it was something about silane changing the way you do adhesive and changing the way adhesives are done around the globe. And it didn't get a lot of traction. A lot of people looked at it and thought, well, what is that? What is MS polymer? They didn't understand that. And now it seems to be the norm. And I get a lot of people say, hey, so you have that stuff like, some other brand. And I'm like, well, technically, we brought it here first.
Yeah, we got ripped off.
Yeah. We brought it here first, and everybody else kind of followed suit. I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I think the United States seems to be we're behind when it comes to gathering up and getting up to speed on different types of technologies and manufacturing. It seems like Europe is always so much further ahead of us, and by the time that we get it, they've been into it 10 years, and we're and that could be anything. It's not relegated to adhesive. That literally is anything.
I've noticed over the years it seems like we always just assume we're the tail that wagged the dog. When I was in retail, they used to say, everything starts in California, moves to Texas and Florida. Those are the trend-setting states. Right. Well, when I started doing flooring, I figured, we got it down. I started hearing about European people rolling. And I remember I opened a box of finish. It had 3 plastic bags. I go, what's that? They go, they use the box as their poly bucket. And I'm like, seriously? What did it take us? 15 years of me telling people, go try a roller. And we thought, no, we've got it all wrapped. Oh, boy, did they have it wrapped. What a big difference that was. Why did it take us so long to figure that out?
I don't know. I think we are always that stubborn. It's always been done that way. The other thing, too, is, Stephen, no matter how many Europeans are that manufacture products for the flooring industry, they say they understand marketing and they understand the sales, and they say that, I know that the United States is a big country, but they don't understand the vastness of this country until they're actually here. And I've seen that over and over and over. I've seen Europeans come here and go, well, I'm going to set up distribution out of Kansas City, Kansas, because it's right in the center of the country. Okay, that's great. So what are you going to do about the Northeast? What are you going to do about the Southeast? What are you going to do about Central? What are you going to do about Northwest? And they go, well, we'll just, we'll just hire a guy to do that. And they're so underwhelming with their presence when they do make a launch. They're just not used to the vastness that we have. Germany fits inside of Texas.
Right.
So we end up with, I know Germany, Stauf is, I think they have 9 outside reps. Well, give me 9 outside reps for the state of Texas. I mean, that's the equivalent.
Exactly.
I could make a big difference. But, I think the Europeans underwhelm things, but I also believe that because of that, that's why it takes us so long to answer your question. But they don't have the manpower, and they don't have the marketing dollars to go behind that, or the sales force. It's just it's totally uncommon from what their norm is.
You imagine you come here from a European country, and let's say you go to Boston, and then you say, I'm going to fly down to New Orleans. You wouldn't even think you were in the same world.
Right.
They don't speak alike. They don't talk alike. They don't think alike. Right. I'm here in New England. I can hit 4 states in an hour. I can go all over. But when I go visit my sister in Wyoming, I said, can we go to Yellowstone? And she said, yeah, but it's 5.5 hours. airport's 3.5 hours in the same state.
Yeah.
She goes, every day trip we do, you have to get a hotel. You don't come back. I'm like, wow.
Right.
And that's just one state.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing. Going from Germany to France is like going from Texas to Oklahoma.
Now, when you first started out, before flooring and everything, you went to UT at Martin. Were you studying aeronautics and aviation, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I was studying aeronautics and aviation, and I ended up with an associate's in aviation technology, and got my single engine private pilot's license. And yeah, I was headed down the aviation path, and many of my friends are still in aviation. Of course, FedEx being a hub, it was kind of the natural transition, right?
Sure.
But it was I don't know. I can remember I was de-icing underneath the wing of a DC-10 one night during a ice storm here in the city of Memphis, and I had been on the clock for like 25 hours. I slipped in some glycol, and I'm laying there on my back in the ice, and the freezing rain is beating down on me, and I'm sitting there laying in glycol, which is the de-icing fluid. Yeah. And the guy who was driving the truck rolled down the window. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I am." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm having an epiphany." And he said, "Well, what kind of epiphany?" I said, "I'll tell you in a minute." And I rolled the de-ice hose back up, crawled back in the de-ice truck, and I sat down. He goes, "What were you thinking about?" I said, "I got to thinking, when I'm 53, is this what I want?"
Exactly.
Do I want to be like 25 hours on the clock, laying under the wing of a DC-10? And it answered its own question, right?
It's not fly in the skies like I went down to Tampa because Embry-Riddle's done it. I wanted to. My dad said, "We're all in the military." He goes, "Go to college, go in as a first lieutenant, go to flights, whatever." And I was on scholarship. I shattered my knee and ended everything within the first month. And yeah, next thing you know, I'm doing hardwood flooring. Like you're an airframe mechanic. How do you get into flooring from that?
Other side of the family was in hardwood flooring. Okay. Actually, the whole family was in the wood business of some sort or another. Grandfather ran the Seagram's plant down on Memphis, down on Mud Island, President's Island. He ran the White Oak Whiskey Barrel plant, and his brother was a lumber grader, and they were heavily involved in NHLA. And my grandfather on the other side and stepfather, they were all in the hardwood flooring industry. And just having a lot of wood background, I did wood floors when I was 13 years old. Wow. And I thought this is why, when I started swinging that hammer, I started realizing, that there's a reason why college is alive and well. Yeah, but it was it was a passion of I needed a job. Number one, let's face it.
Right.
I needed a job. Number two was my grandfather had always said, "Son, you won't ever get rich in the hardwood flooring business, but you'll never you will make an honest living, and you will enjoy the people that in which you work with." And that has been true. That has been absolutely a fantastic road, and he was, I think that statement that he made in just that little short paragraph, I think is extremely accurate. We're not going to make, $1 million working in the hardwood flooring industry a year, but I have thoroughly enjoyed the people in which I've worked with.
It's interesting. There's a connection with people and their craft and with wood and the tree and the forest and the flooring. It's very deep. And, hardwood flooring, you can do at any level. You could just simply do a simple dining room install, sand finish, or you could be doing these elaborate 40,000 footers that are like you see in the White House.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I was going to say, when you were talking about levels of craftsmanship and people that have carried it to other levels, I was thinking about, I've just laid some floors, done sand and finish, maybe a border or something like that. But there are so many talented, I mean, truly talented craftsmen out there who get into elaborate designs and layouts and different species that, I mean, I am, no pun intended, floored by.
Yeah.
It just amazes me at some of these people's artistic ability.
It's like in an orchestra, okay?
Yeah.
You could be first violin, second. Everything is important. I realized I was never going to be that guy that's going to win Floor of the Year, but you know what? I love to study this every day. I like to be helpful. Don't you like to I want to know everything about it.
Along those same lines, Stephen, I'm the triangle player.
Right.
In the hardwood flooring group, I'm the guy that plays the triangle. That would be me.
At that perfect moment for that triangle. We need more cowbell.
Gotta have more cowbell.
Yeah, well, people have this different view of wealth, which drives me crazy because I happen to feel I'm a very wealthy person. When you weigh it out, I have a wealth of knowledge, health in my family, unbelievably good friends. My friends are deeply good, dear friends. They care about me. You said it. I heard Anthony Hopkins once in an interview, and he said at this point in my life, and maybe this is an age-related thing, he said, I don't have time for the rest of my life for the people that don't like me, don't care about me, have an opinion of me. All I have time is for the people that enjoy our company together and we can move forward. How much futility when we were younger when I was speaking when I was younger, if one person in the crowd frowned at me, I had to hunt them down and find out why they were the only one that couldn't pay attention. And I've lost all that. I think that you start having reverence for these people and understanding it's not about me. Enjoy these people while they're in your company.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely accurate. It is not about me. I'm extremely blessed to have the teachers that I had. I'm extremely blessed to have the knowledge that was shared with me. And some of those people, I mean, I could name so many of them, but some of the people who influenced my career as I came along and learning and taking on, of course, was, my grandfather, big influencer, right? My dad. Interestingly enough, who we lost not too long ago, Mickey Moore. Mickey Moore.
Famous.
Just had, because I got to work with him every single day, I got to work with Mickey. And I was infused with a lot of his knowledge that a lot of people never got because of just who he was. His first couple of years, he went to Duke University and studied wood sciences.
Wow.
And then he finished up here at Memphis. But some of the things that I would glean from him, nobody in the flooring industry would ever glean from him, simply because it wasn't something that regarded flooring. It might be actually wood science. It might actually be some sort of, and I was always fascinated with the actual growth of the tree, the actual what made a ray in a vessel, and why nutrients were carried to the leaves, and why the water was absorbed. The whole thing fascinated me. And Mickey taught me a lot. There was a lot of things he taught me, but being in association with him and doing NAFMA schools, that brought it home. You at that point, that led to people like Mac McLaughlin, Roland Holder, John Bast, Daniel Boone, Tim McCool, et cetera. But I'd say the second most influencer, or the third most influencer in my career, was Don Connor, who we've also lost. And I love Don like he was my own brother, and I still miss him to this day. But Don was very influential in teaching me how to present the information that you needed to present, have that information retained, and then have that information spat back at you. Or regurgitated to you in a way that was understandable and When I left NAFMA, I went to Harris Tarkett, and Don was instrumental in teaching me just tons and tons of stuff. And there were. I'm like this, Stephen. I don't believe that any one source is the overall leading authority on hardwood flooring. There's just too many people out there with too much knowledge. And you show me a guy who says, you can't teach me anything. I've got it. I understand it. I'll show you a guy who will get left in the next 10 years,
Right.
In his career, because things are changing all the time. You can't, there's impossible.
Sure. Well, a lot of this is, it's a bit generational. I don't know what's going on. It seems like everybody I worked with worked very hard to get a buck to do a floor or whatever, and we worked very hard for that. Today, people are getting into flooring because they can get $4, $5, $6. That's attractive, but they don't want to go through the actual learning curve of doing it the right way. Like you mentioned, I go to parts of the country, and I pick on D.C. all the time, but when I fly down there, and they're charging $35 a foot for whatever, and they run to a lumberyard, come back, put a floor in, and it doesn't look anything like you would expect up here for $5 a foot. And you think, wow, because they've been told, go to college or there must be something wrong with you. And now I hear people really good friends of mine telling me that their children are in trades. And some people roll their eyes at that. I'm like, we need tradespeople in every aspect of it. And I think it's a challenge for the newer generation to accept this responsibility and not invest in old school technology, things that we really need. We really need some old school chops here.
And then go compare your work, whatever it is, roofer, tile guy, hardwood flooring guy. Then go compare your work. Compare your work to the competition that's out there, and then you set your price. Because the demand is there right now, the contractors are not. And I won't say it's like, of course, it's not as good as it was at the end of last year or the very beginning of this year, but it'll come back. You and I've ridden this wave before. So it'll come back. And when it does, set your price, and say, yeah, that's right. I am $5 a foot to sand and finish your floor. Well, that's awfully high. The other guy, well, then I tell you what, why don't you get in? You know the story.
Oh,
right?
I hear it every day. I'm not the Kmart of flooring. And there are a lot of people, and there are differences. Sometimes maybe you need somebody to screen and coat a floor, and everybody can do that. And then there are floors that get a lot more technical. I get that all the time. Someone will say, well, I don't know what went wrong. It's the same thing I always do. On a maple floor, no, it's the first maple floor I've done. Well, then you can't say it's the same floor that you always do.
Right. That's right. I mean,
but what strategies are there for us if people are going to get into this, how do you train them and motivate them and get younger people that do want to come up through flooring? They don't want to fly halfway across the country for 3 days to get a $3,000 certification. And listen, the internet, at least for me, it's been amazing. I have so much. I'm a mechanic. I can jump on, watch somebody fix a particular thing and go do it myself. I can get schematics. There's stuff that just can come to you so quickly. I keep a computer rolling while I'm rebuilding a Hummel or an Edge or whatever it is, because I can do that. So it's not like they don't have the tools. You physically have hardwood flooring equipment and tools and hand tools, et cetera. You got the internet. You've got people that do internet groups of flooring professionals, et cetera. Go out there and listen. Don't be offended. Listen, learn.
I think your question was, what can we do? And that is the $1 million question. And I think it's again, not to sound like a broken record, it's not relegated just to the hardwood flooring industry either. But trades are schools, and this goes down to the state level. The schools need to reinvest in vocational technical skills.
Right.
No, I'm not saying that everybody could look. I can say this. When I was originally going to go to work and do an aircraft maintenance job, an airframe power plant kind of guy, my colleagues now that are in that business, they're making $150,000 a year, just straight salary. That's what they're making. That ain't no bad jack, and that's the one thing that I try to tell people is, and I've said it a million times, you're not going to be making $400,000 a year in the hardwood flooring industry, but you will enjoy your job and you'll have fun. I'll tell you one thing that I'm seeing more and more that seems to be very trendy is a millennial group does not want to work the full work week. They don't. They're going to tell you how many days off they're going to have. They're going to tell you what time they're going to come in and how long they're going to get for lunch. And you're either going to adapt to that or they're not going to go to work for you. And it's hard to refill the workplace. It's hard to refill the workplace pipeline with good people when that is kind of the mentality. So, part of it is, we have indoctrinated a generation of the only way that you're going to get into this 6-digit figure income is you have to go to college. And I tell you, I say to you, no. I say it's far from that. I mean, I got a friend of mine here in the Memphis area that is sanding and finishing floors and has done it his entire career, Stephen, and he's making more than most doctors that I know.
Sure. I told you, I've said it in a podcast before, probably, but it's true. I was listening to a radio show, and they were talking about finance. And this gentleman called in. He said, I'm a plumber. I have a twin brother. He's a doctor. God bless him. And he said he visits me at my lake house. He goes, I have my home, my lake house, all my ducks in a row, and he comes and visits me, and one day he'll have all that. But right now, he's $250,000 in debt.
Sure.
So that is a big trade-off. You I see kids that are finishing their advanced degrees at about the age of 35, and they're making them take 60,000 years until they actually get to start their career. And what if they at that point they want to start a family and have children? Now they're 40.
Yeah. But when I say the state levels that the schools need to go back into vocational teaching and invest in that, I don't mean just the fact that they need to get that part of it taught. Right. They need to teach the entire package, right? They need to teach. Here's how you can market yourself. They need to teach them real life skills. Here's how you can market yourself. Here's what the potential is to make in these particular markets. And here's how you market your company and your services, and this is your potential earning package based upon the vocation that you've chosen.
Sure.
All they do is say, okay, everybody get your hammer and your white glue, and we're gonna start with the roof line. And the next thing you know, this guy's whacking away on a birdhouse.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
No, teach them something they can learn. Right. Put a welding stick in the stinger and let them start sticking metal together. Put a sander in their hands and let them start raking off wood off of a floor and realizing, hey, this is not too bad. You can do this for a living? Yes. And you can get paid really well to do it. Really? Yes. And you don't have to work for somebody else. You're your own boss. Huh. Really? Yes.
Yeah. What does a doctor do every Friday? I don't know, because you can't get an appointment. They're playing golf. But if you have a problem, you go to the emergency med stop, right? I got news for you. That's easy. Try getting the plumber at 2 a.m. when your pipes break and freeze.
Yeah.
And you know what? You'll pay that guy anything. Oh, and he's going to charge you for it too. You know what? Because he can.
That's exactly
no one else
right.
has that knowledge, that training.
And the unfortunate side is we're in the industry. You said it earlier. We haven't lost a patient yet.
No.
But that doesn't mean that you still can't get paid really well. I liken it to this, Stephen, that you got the guy who does a knee replacement because somebody was in an auto accident at 2 a.m. in the morning. And he does it. There's an orthopedic surgeon who does a 2 a.m. knee replacement. And that guy gets paid out the wazoo, okay? It's because he was there and he was the guy who could do it. It's the same principle with the pipes that burst. There's a plumber, and he's the one that can do it. So he's going to get paid that kind of money. But on the reverse sides of those two coins, there's also the dermatologist who works from 8 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to do hospital rounds because most of his patients come in and see him. And he gets to make really good money, and he gets to sit inside the doctor's office, and he doesn't have to put in the 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. It's just not what he does. He's a dermatologist by appointment most of the time. That's where I put us in the flooring industry. We're kind of the dermatologist of the medical world.
Yeah, we're out there.
We're not going to go you don't need a piece of flooring replaced in emergency at 2 a.m. You just don't need it, right?
No, and my response to that is that, and why do I get people that act like that? They call, I'm going to sue, I'm going to turn in. You people have destroyed my life. I want you to pay for my children's college. You're like, it's a hardwood floor. We can have this wrapped up in 48 hours. Trust me, we can make this great. And when you talk about training people and bringing them in and this and that, we're not asking them to stick to some strict guidelines. There's more than one way to achieve things. I meet 100 different floor guys, and they all have somebody said, I think Sprig Liddon said, you're working in the White House, and you get the best of the best. And they're all looking at each other going, I'd never do it that way. The hell are you doing? Right. Because there's more than one way to make a floor flat, right?
Right. And that goes back to the whole pride ego thing that I get into, that just you didn't do that right. Well, says you. Okay, I realize that, but you didn't do that right doesn't mean necessarily that I didn't do it right. It just means that I didn't do it your way.
Your way, right?
Yeah, and I think the guy who says that you didn't do that right or you're not doing that right, it's probably best if he just pipes down and watches till the end, and let's see what the end result is, because you're quick to fire off at people that are not doing it your way, because your way is the way you learned, and I think that's just the industry as a whole. But
sometimes I see that in as being a 40-year distributor and everything, and I look at some people in the industry that have to make executive decisions and business decisions, and sometimes they come each day with the just do as I say, and I look at them and I go, you have under your employment the brightest, best people. Every day they wake up and go, I want to give my boss all my best ideas. And you tell all of them, go back to your office. So you're saying that every decision you make is 100% accurate. That is impossible. You're not listening to what everyone else is bringing to you, then that is just ridiculous. They're offering the insight into success, and whatever it is in your brain that's pushing it away, you're rejecting it. You'd rather not hear anything new, learn anything new products, innovation, charging more for what you do, breaking the molds that are out there. That should be the focus of the next generation of people that want to be in the floor industry at any capacity.
I would just like to be, I would like to have better access as a manufacturer to the people who really want to make a difference in this industry. There's a lot of things that have become watered down over my tenure with regards to manufacturers, associations, experts. But that's not to say that the real people who really want to advance our industry are not out there, because they are.
They are, yeah.
They are out there.
And they'll rise to the top, because that's the only path.
This episode is brought to you by Stauf Adhesives. Stauf innovations continue after nearly 200 years in the adhesive industry. Stauf's chemistry-based approach in manufacturing and product development allows for the creation of adhesives that solve many types of problematic flooring issues. With technologies that are green, sustainable, and truly advanced, Stauf has solidified its place in the world of adhesives. When seeking a solution for installation issues, stick with Stauf and stick with what works. Find out more at www.staufusa.com. That's STAUFUSA.com. Now let's get back to Stephen's talk with Stauf's David Ford.
You know, I watched a very large corporation approach a friend of mine, a family member down in that's why I always say D.C., but their friend called me, and they said, you got to call Steve. She called me, and she's going to start this big flooring company. And I said, don't do it. That's my expert advice. And she said, but, you know, this big company is going to fly me here, fly me there. And I'm thinking, here they go again. They want to get around the hardwood flooring person, get to somebody with money and tell them they're going to become rich selling flooring because they know they've got money in their checkbook, and they send them to tropical islands. And a year later, they go, where's your numbers? I'm going to have to shut your franchise down. And I used to do a seminar where I do this presentation on the last day, right? And video would come up, everybody's sitting there, and they're all retailers. And there's a picture of a nuclear mushroom cloud, and there's a picture of a cockroach, and there's a picture of a guy nailing a floor down. And I would say, when Armageddon comes, and there's nothing but fallout and radiation, we're going to have cockroaches, and we're going to have wood floor installers. And they look at me and I go, because big corporations and big distributors forget. It's the guy in the trenches, the person, the men and women swinging a hammer in the machines that says, by the way, your stuff is junk, and I'm going to charge you more if I have to use it. Big corporations have suffered that, changed their logo, changed their name, changed their profile because they forgot to take care of. Ask anybody that's a retailer, who does your flooring? My cousin's brother's nephew, my son-in-law, they don't have a team of anybody.
No.
That's what they need. This industry could benefit by having a lot more qualified people to produce less claims and less issues.
I hate to sound like a 1963 hippie, but can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? It's like, can't we coexist, man? You know, if we could just all just coexist and get over our egos and just love one another, you know, I think you get a lot. I think that, you know, I've said this probably 50 times in my career too. If I give a salesperson the opportunity to look like an idiot in front of his customer, let me slow that down and back it up. If I give a salesperson, be that a distributor salesperson or a retail salesperson, as a manufacturer, if I give either one of those salespeople an opportunity to look like an idiot in front of their customer, that means to the distributor salesperson, it's the retailer, right? And to the retailer, it's the consumer. If I give either one of those two a chance to look like an idiot in front of their customer, they won't talk about my product. Right? So what I have tried to keep in focus is not the fact that they're dumb or they're incapable. That's not it. Either one of them has got too much in the bag. The distributor salesperson, man, we got more and more manufacturers vying for smaller pieces of the pie and crumbs more all the time. His bag has got 700,000 SKUs in it, and I want him to retain the open time at 50 degrees and 65% humidity on this particular product. No, he's not going to do that. I don't blame him. I don't want him to do that.
Right.
But what I do want him to do is just open his mouth about my product. And the way to do that, I think, Stephen, my approach has been very simple, is keep it as simple as you possibly can. Not because they're stupid, not because they're dumb. They're capable. They are all capable. They're obviously intelligent people. The distributor hired them, or the retailer hired them. The problem is they don't give them the opportunity or the tools necessary to train them so specifically in each individual product. That could be a finish. That could be an adhesive. That could be a different different types of primers. It could be literally just a vast array of products. So from a manufacturing standpoint, keep it as simple as you possibly can. And if you don't keep it simple, you've lost your audience all the way around. You've lost the distributor sales rep, you've lost the retailer, you've lost the sale. We just talked about the vastness of this continent.
Right.
And you can't cover it all as a manufacturer. I mean, unless you're a Shaw Mohawk who's got, 150 salespeople to go all over the place. That's not our industry. That's not who we are.
No, remember in college, they would say, like, in the first year or two, listen, you don't know what you're doing. Just say you're marketing, right?
Yeah.
I go back now, I go, man, I am so glad I love the marketing. I've seen businesses fail. My wife worked for a medical practice of the most brilliant doctors ever. Failed miserably because nobody knew how to market or run the business. Didn't know how to bring in the business. They could do the work. And you look at this and you look at how people market their flooring company. And when I talked to, God bless his soul, Roy Reichow before he passed away, we were talking about doing inspections and claims and things. And I was just starting to get to this point in my career where I'm away from being a distributor. Instead of just being there to help everybody, I try now to help them before they get in trouble. I like to meet with them before the flooring starts or the project begins and say, here's some things. Let's not wind up with the claim at the end of this. So, what are the tips for people in the flooring industry to keep them from, to avoid from making mistakes right up front?
Yeah, I think that that's where I wished I could take this podcast and put it in every consumer that was thinking about any type of floor covering and put it in their ear so they could listen, which is, and I've had our own employees that have moved on or left or have retired, and they're going to put down a floor, and they still do the incorrect thing. Always. I mean, let's talk about it on the front end, just like what you were saying. Talk about what you're starting with and from, and where your ultimate goal is. And don't assume just because you're in the flooring industry, i.e. me, look, I don't know everything there is to know. We've talked about that at the beginning of this. I don't know everything there is to know, and I want to know if somebody else has got a better idea. But I don't want to know it after the fact. I don't want to know it after I put down a certain type of pad or a certain type of primer or a certain type of finish. I don't want to know that after the fact. I want to talk to someone who is professional enough on the front end and then make decisions based upon what somebody who does know. Like I don't know about epoxy floors for garage, right? I don't know about that. So I know hardwood flooring, but I don't know that. So there's no shame or no. You shouldn't feel so knowledgeable in your industry that I have that mentality of, well, I already know what I'm doing. I'm in the flooring. Flooring is just a general topic. So I think to answer your question, I think seek out whatever floor covering it is that I'm trying to put down, whatever that is. Get somebody who's knowledgeable on the very front end. Don't wait. Gosh, please, for the love of everything. And I wish, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here on this podcast, but honestly, I wished I could get to every consumer, because I can't tell you how many friends and relatives, and you too, to Stephen, you probably have as well, had people that said, "Hey, man, we put down some VCT, or we put down some vinyl, some luxury vinyl plank in that new room that we added on to," and you're thinking, or I'm thinking, well, why didn't you put down wood floor? Why didn't you put down real wood floor? Sure. Well, it was just cheap, and it was it's not going to scratch, and that da-da-da-da-da-da. They start going through all the trendy stuff of it. But did it add any value to your home?
No.
No, it didn't add any value to your home, where your wood floor probably is going to.
I used to teach a seminar, and I would say, all right, lunch is on me, and everybody get excited. I go, if you go out in the lobby of the hotel, bring me back a real estate guide that says this home features beautiful carpets. It's not gonna, it doesn't. My wife's a realtor. That doesn't add any value. And LVT is a whole other thing. But you talk to LVT people, they'll say, don't worry, my next floor is going to be wood. But, the biggest problem I have, and we talked to a customer this morning, is when we ask people in the podcast, what's your pet peeve? Dishonesty or people that can't sharpen their scraper, whatever. And somebody asked me, and I said, it's cognitive bias. I am so fed up with people doing their research and crowbarring me to move towards the result they want. A guy called me this morning. This lady was screaming about her floor being the gray that she wanted, and we kept trying to say, this wood, this stain, this finish cannot be achieved. But somebody told her it could. They had no idea what they were talking about, so she went with that. And then they go online, and they ask questions like, how do I get this to be exactly my way? And they'll avoid everything that tells them to stop until they get the answer they want. And then they'll come back to you and say, well, I talked to somebody. And I'm so sick of that. No one wants to listen to a professional anymore. They want to start at the end of the maze with the cheese and go, I got it. Now, how'd we get here?
Yeah, and I think that's what I would say is get somebody who's got a telehandle who can get up over the maze.
Yeah.
And look at the whole picture and then give you directions to the cheese.
Yeah. People in the industry, now that they've got a handle on, even if they have a handle on training, and some of them do, and they use the internet well, and they go experiment in their wood shop or whatever it is they're doing is, they have to start considering what are reasonable rates so that they can actually have growth and success. You never want your business to run you. You want to run your business. You got to have plans. You need to set goals so that you know where you're going. And you can do that in just about every facet of the flooring industry if you're smart about it. But it really involves teamwork. It really does. I've never seen when people say, hey, he's a self-made man. But the office staff didn't help, the shipping people, the freight handler, UPS, the phone company.
That's exactly right.
I'm not buying that. I don't. You know what? That's pretty narcissistic. There's nothing I have ever accomplished in my life without a team of people behind me. And I started coaching when I was 15 years old, and I'll never forget. The parents all came and had to have a meeting. I said, "What's the matter?" They said, "You're 15." I go, "But they're 10-year-olds." They go, "Coach, you don't have a car." And I go, "Oh." They go, "What? We're just concerned if the kids need a ride home or somebody breaks an arm or something." But they liked me. So the parents got together a schedule on who would be there with a vehicle, what adults would be there at all times. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to either follow a really good leader. I loved my coaches. I remember every coach I ever had. I worked so hard for them. I would have busted a gut for them. Remember when you're a kid and you're there all summer, and you're 14 and you're with the varsity guys, and they made you do double sessions together, and the cut list goes up every day, and all of a sudden one day they go, everybody in the gym, and you're like, oh, this is it, and they hand out the uniforms. Greatest day of my life. That team, we're a team. We did this together. And you're better than me, and he's better than him, and this. No, everybody on this team can do something for the better good.
I wished I could get that drilled into 100% of our industry. A lot of people got it, and the vast majority of people do, but I wished people understood the value of people. And you've heard it said, people don't care about people anymore. And I'd say that is probably the most profound and relative statement to our particular generation right now, and dragging it into an industry that is not that way. For the vast majority of our industry is, let me help you. I'll give you the shirt off my back. We'll do it on a handshake. What can I help you with? That's the vast majority of our industry. But as a younger generation comes up, it is, they've been indoctrinated with what can I get? How fast can I get it? And I just wish people would stop and take the time, turn around and look at the guys that are helping you. I had a meeting with our sales group not too long ago that basically said, I don't know what's happened because we had a little hiccup here. There was a couple of things that went on internally, and I said, guys, I used the analogy that I used earlier, which was, I don't care how much you know unless I know how much you care. And the truth of it is, if all of us are not picking up that football and headed towards that goal line, I don't need you on my team. You're a burden. And I just wished it was that way just in life in general. And it's not like it used to be. And I wish there were ways to change it. But the only thing that's going to change that is, a genuine change.
A big change, yeah.
In the heart of man.
Something shocking. And, that's cyclical. You look at any advanced culture or civilization, you go through that original pilgrimage stage, and then you struggle and you survive, and there's industry, and then there's war, and then you want your generation to have more than the last, and more. Like my entire family went off to war, and then my dad moved us into a better place and opened a business, and then we were the first to go to college, and now my kids have everything, and I worry that it's going to come back around. It's been handed, and that's not judging. I think that happens everywhere. I think that comes around. I know people. I had a friend of mine that was a sports celebrity, and he grew up with his father playing, pro ball for the Red Sox when there was no money in it. And then when they got older, and they went to a World Series, and his kid brothers came up, they were wealthy, and it was a whole different thing. And he never knew who was his real friend or who to trust or who really you could put your trust into. But he said, I don't have the same work ethic that my kid brothers do. They don't want to leave the house. It's like, and he said, one of my brothers said to me, how am I ever going to achieve what Dad did? Well, you don't.
I have a close friend of mine who played at the University of Tennessee. Then he went on to the NFL. And he introduced Peyton Manning to his wife because she's from Memphis, and he went to the '97 reunion of that team that won the national championship, and Peyton was there, and they all went to dinner. And my buddy's name, which some people may be familiar with, his name was Tom Hutton. He was a kicker here out of Memphis. And Peyton told Hutton, he said, you know what I like about you, Hut? He said, you don't ever want anything. He said, all my friends, all the people that I played football with, all the people that I played pro football with, everybody wanted something. Can you get me an autograph? Can you get me this? Can you get me this? People that I was closest to, roommates with at UT, and people always wanted something from him. But he told Tom, he said, you don't ever want anything. And he had more respect for that than anything else that Tom could ever accomplish or do. Spoke to character, and I think that's what we're talking about. We're starting to talk about character.
Sure.
And you may not necessarily like some of the decisions of somebody, but I think backing up and taking a 30,000 foot macro view, is that their character? I don't want to do business with people who have got really poor character. That's not who I am.
Right.
I want to do business that makes sense. I want to do business with people that I like. I want to treat people with kindness and respect and regard and reverence that deserve it. But don't demand it. If you demand it, and remember, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Do you think that for the people in the industry, they get it? And we've met them. They're running good businesses. They like what they do. Their families are proud of them. They are making an income, and it's their livelihood. There's still got to be opportunity for additional incremental revenue opportunities, because I know that when I did flooring and it got slow, I wrote every furniture company and said, I can repair anything. If you've gouged a floor, rather than upset the customer or lose it, I'll go in, I'll make it go away for you. So we called it floor surgery. But there are additional revenue streams, like for these guys. What's out there right now they can do besides what they're already doing?
Yes, I think, you can do that. You can offer so many things that make you more valuable. Let's face it, not everybody's going to do a hardwood floor, and they're not, because it is costly, expensive. I get it. But this goes back to the marketing thing that we were talking about. Market yourself to learn some other skills. Learn a few other skills that have extreme high demand, but even higher value. Like Stauf right now is putting together and has launched a program with epoxy flooring. Right. Where the epoxy garage floors is something that we're offering. It's funny that Europeans are really, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but a lot of the adhesive companies, the European adhesive companies, they all seem to be partnered up with some Finnish company. Right. You got Lobovacal, Pullman and
Utzon.
Yeah. Right. You get the idea. It's just the way that they've always done business. The thing that we have partnered up with is, and have since I've been with the company, is epoxy flooring. So a lot of the the epoxy type paints that you get inside of, I'm sure there's plenty of us out there that have done an epoxy painted floor from like Lowe's or something like that, and you pull your car in on it and with hot tires, and you back up and you got these two bald spots where it'll bear concrete, right? It's just not. It's not a true epoxy. It's not a good quality. Well, we're offering a good quality, and we're training. We're doing a lot of training to teach people. And I got to tell you, that is a revenue stream that not only are the installers excited about it, but I mean, that's what they do. But what has happened is we've been wildly successful in at the retail level, going in and saying, and once again, here we go. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier, Stephen. If I give the opportunity for my customer to look like an idiot in front of him, he won't talk about epoxy floors. He's not going to do it because it's very technical. Right. It's like sand and finish. That's what I liken it to. It's like sand and finish. So what do? Is I put it on a board. I'll put it on a hand board with the chips and the colors and say, this is how much it is to you, a square foot. And then verbally tell them this is about what you can charge for it inside your market. And they look at you like a deer in the headlights. What? Yeah. Right. Are you serious? Yeah. And then that's keeping it simple. I didn't have to tell him about dry times. I didn't have to tell him about when you can throw in epoxy, or when you can throw in chips, or when you got to put the outside coating on, or what temperature the slab's got to be. I didn't have to tell him none of that. I just said, it's this much a foot. This color's this much a foot.
Yeah, see what that looks like? Isn't it pretty? You know what? That makes perfect sense, because if you think about it, one of the things that never works, okay, and this is 40 years of me doing this, carpet people come to me and they go, oh man, every house I'm in, they're like throwing money. Please do my floor. And some of them will try. They'll spend $40,000, $50,000 and go to training schools and come back and fail miserably and ask me to sell their equipment because it's not in their wheelhouse. But hardwood flooring people use the same equipment. They know how to use a buffer, a rotary machine, vacuum, grinder, dust containment, edger. Yep. They've already flattened concrete when it comes to sealing subfloors, etc. And if they can have that value-added service by doing something like epoxy, and by the way, the old saying, I'm already in the house.
Sure.
I used to be like $3 a foot to coat a floor, and I go, now listen, while I'm here, $1.50 a foot for an extra coat, so because my equipment's here. If you want it, let's do it now, or I can put you on the schedule. Same thing. You're there. Hardwood floor person is probably the most qualified. And by the way, another beautiful part of the marketing of it, you're not stealing a wood floor job from anybody.
Right.
It's an added on. You got it.
I'm offering it to my distributors inside their wheelhouse in their pro shops, where that guy who's a hardwood flooring guy, he walk in and go ahead and buy the kit right there. He don't even have to know how. It's all laid out for him.
Right.
It's all it's modular, and it says do this first, do this second, do this third, collect check. That's the end of it.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to make it extremely simple, because right now that value add is being given to a very soft, seedy underbelly of people who are epoxy people or that concrete people. You talk about not qualified. You talk about a taillight warranty. There's one. Right there.
I have a friend that does it, and they try to get big commercial jobs so they can go to Boston and do big, wide areas. And the stuff is beautiful, but then they get involved in safety and training and slipping, and it becomes a whole other business. Sure. But for here in New England, one of the things we've never had is everyone has a basement. With engineered flooring and the proper adhesives and subfloors, et cetera, it's possible now to go back to every New England home and say, well, wouldn't you like your basement to look like that? Same thing. Wouldn't you like your garage to look super cool? And when you spill oil, you just wipe it up. And think about the other things. How about deck refinishing? Or we've had people put wood on their walls.
Yep, deck refinishing. Wall. Sven Johnson, a good friend of mine, works at my wood wall. Right. He was on the board with me at NAFCD. He said, David, he goes, if you ever want to do this, try it. He goes, just try it at your home. I'll send it to you. So I got some of my wood wall product, and my daughter fell in love with it. She liked the way it looked. I got it at home, took my chop saw upstairs. I had the wall up inside of 45 minutes, and it was one solid wood wall that looked like ledged rock. And we have had more compliments on that part of the house than anything I've ever seen. Now I thought to myself, after I hear people's comments on it, I think to myself, if I were a contractor, what could I have charged for that?
Right.
I have no idea. I don't even know. But since it's an unknown, I might say, yeah, that's $12 a foot right there.
Well, not that, but any local distributor has a pile of stuff they would kill to get rid of. We have a woman that used to come to us every year, and she worked for a law firm, and they had different offices, and we'd have a pallet for her, and her brother was an installer. He would take all of that at 50 cents a foot, or some of the boxes were free, and do walls, and they look amazing. And you know what? I bet he probably could have charged full boat for that, even though all the stuff was practically donated. But again, it's a value added. It's something different. There's more that people can add to their pet. Listen, while you're in the house, if you're doing a buff and coat and the rest of the day you got nothing, find something in that house. They're willing to hand you money. They're willing to pay you. If there's anything else, go grab it. Or the carpets guy's going to do it.
Right. Do not be in such a hurry to get out to go to the boat so you can go fish.
You think that? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that when you do that, when you take that time to realize that there are other projects inside that home that you can get to, I mean, you may cut your work week down by 2 days. You might only have to have a 3-day work week. And still make great money. Great money.
You know, I had Cherry Stone Custom Floors, my first business. I remember going into the dentist, and not only when I leave did they give you a lollipop, but I thought it was funny that he stopped me and she says, wait, what are you doing 1 year from now? I go, is there a party? She's like, no, we want to put you down. I'm like, whoa. I walked out and I said, if everybody I worked for, I said, listen, our floors are beautiful, but what do I call you in a year? And back, we hadn't gotten computers yet, not really. When the computer came around, I'm like, wow, we have now, a year later, have 365 jobs lined up. People might say yes or no, or you tell them, your floor is wearing a bit more than others. Why don't we throw a coat on it before you have to pay for a new floor? And we just started developing extra business. So every Friday was Buff and Coat Day. Whatever we had going, everybody grab a buffer in a van, and on Friday, let's go hit it. And you could make really good money.
You bring up a good point, Stephen, in that I had a friend of mine here that has a floor covering retail outlet here in one of the higher income demographics inside the city. And when he would go do these flooring jobs, and he would do everything, right? He'd do carpet, he'd do tile, he'd do wood, he'd do anything. He did it all. Typical retail outlet. He got hooked up with some builders, and then he got hooked up with some insurance agents. And the insurance agents started putting him on flooring jobs due to a flood, due to a fire, due to a whatever the case may be. And because of that, he would be there on those jobs, and those people would say, "Man, y'all did such a great job on the floor. Do you do drywall? You guys did such a good job on that, putting that vinyl down in the bathroom. Hey, look, do y'all do painting? Can you get someone to paint? Do you know someone who can do base trim molding? Do you know someone who can trim that room out? Let me tell you what he did. He's a young guy, young man. He went and hired and started another branch under his LLC and under his umbrella and a DBA as Delta Construction. It's the name of the company. And what he ended up doing is he literally, because he was walking in on all these insurance jobs and there was so much damage, he was walking out of there not only with the carpet and the tile and the wood that he had to do, but he also ended up hiring a guy who was a GC, keeping him busy full time in these jobs. So it was almost like he was the entire house handyman or the entire house renovator by the time he got done with it. And I say that anybody who's not doing that is missing a huge opportunity because of this. I have a friend of mine who was in data analytics here in the city for AutoZone. AutoZone's headquartered here in Memphis. He was probably making about 140 a year at the time, okay? The guy was making about 140 a year. He was really high up. He started getting into insurance and handyman repair work, so much so that it way far surpassed his income at what he was making at AutoZone. Left his pension, left his insurance, left everything, and that's all he does now is just repair and remodel. Wow. Because people don't want to do it. They don't want to do it, and the ones that do want to do it, go back to what I said previous. They don't show up. They didn't return the phone call. They didn't return the email. I haven't seen them, whatever the case may be. He says the same thing that my buddy down in Temple says. The reason that I'm successful at this, I did what I said I was going to do. It's that simple.
Sure. Yeah, I see people, of retirement age or older, and their bills are paid, the mortgage is paid, the kids are off, everybody's doing good. They have a ton of disposable income, and they can't physically get up and do the roofing, do the lawn, do the landscaping. They're more than happy to throw their money at someone to do that for them. And I think, people have to look for that opportunity. When people say, "Oh, there's nothing, there's no work," the money's out there. You can rake it in if you know what you're doing. If you can find what you need to do and offer a service, there's plenty out there to make yourself
Stephen, that demographic is aging out.
Yeah.
That baby boomer demographic is at that age that you're talking about. I can't climb the ladders anymore. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm on a cane. I can't that. And guess what? They generally have money because they saved they learned from a grandparent that went through the Great Depression, and they're like, hey, you got to save every dollar you have. I mean, there's probably more generational wealth in that group that baby boom generation than any other previous generation. So,
that being said, do you think that flooring people in the flooring trade, we'll talk about it, at any level, especially if they're in the field working with their hands. How do they prepare so they can retire? I got out of it and I got into distribution. Now I'm doing what I'm doing, and I only have two concerns. How do I get prepared for retirement, and will I have insurance? And I think I've been able to work a lot of that out. How do people at that level prepare? Is there planning for retirement for flooring people?
I think it is. I think, but I'll start it by saying this: it depends on your level of full, right? What is my level of full? What do I feel like I've completed? Where do I have to be? What do I want out of life? Do I want a house at the beach and one in Vail? Then my level of full is a lot more than, say, the guy who says, give me a trailer and a pond and 30 acres. It requires a lot more than what that guy wants, right? So it depends on your level of full, number one. And then number two, I would say, in preparation for retirement, I would never, under any circumstances, count on the government to bail me out of anything. And to think that Social Security, I think it'll be, I might get a little bit of it, Stephen. Me and you may get a little bit of it, but we're not going to get the full of it. I don't think it's going to be there. I think it's going to become insolvent. So key is find your number, right? How do I want to live? And this is just regular old financial advice, right? How do I want to live? At what level of income do I want to live when I'm fully retired? Am I okay with $20,000 a year? And take into consideration that a lot of things will be paid off. You won't have the amount of expenditure that you've had. So let me first start by saying $20,000 a year goes a long way when you don't owe anything.
Exactly.
So max out 401ks as much as I possibly can, and plan my Roth IRAs in any kind of component that will allow me to put any kind of vehicle that will allow me to put money aside that I can later draw from in life. In other words, a full life insurance. Life insurance policy that I forgot what you call them. You'd have to help me, Stephen. The life insurance policy that you can either borrow against, or and you can get the full bit. If you don't ever use it, right, you get it back.
And that's why I have a guy.
Yeah, that's why I got a guy.
We got a guy.
If you don't, everybody get a guy.
Looking at the industry, our industry, billions of dollars, billion-dollar industry. What's the one thing I think we could all agree that our industry, the manufacturers, all the way down, want? They would love more installers, sander finishers, people that do the labor on the end to keep the train going. And I've said for decades, why can't the billions of dollars out there we get together and, like, okay, you're a big corporation. Blue Cross Blue Shield, Harvard Pilgrim, they cannot wait to get a hold of you and get that package and get you. Why can't our industry take the billions of dollars and go, we want to put every hardwood flooring laborer together, and with our power and might and influence, we will bring them to you by the hundreds of thousands. Give them the opportunity to have health care. Hey, look, a guy said to me yesterday, he was told to move furniture. I go, don't do it. He goes, I get hurt, my guys get hurt, they're out of work. I try to file, they go, you're not supposed to be moving furniture. My dad owned a moving company for 70 years, and when he came to work for me, one lady said, he didn't move my furniture. My father said, 70 years in moving furniture. I never said, while we're there, we'll sand your floor. These guys can't. You get hurt. You're not covered. I would love, almond growers, when things are tough, say, all we ask is a pack a day. And there's the milk people. There's the beef people. When things get tough in our industry, instead of saying, where can we get more people to subscribe? Why can't our industry get together and say, let's help all you guys out there, not just teach you how to sand and edge and this and that. Let's make a business for you so where you can take care of your family.
Agreed, Stephen. I know I believe you 1,000%. I think any young aspiring minds, because me and you are winding down. We're not looking for more. I think that if there was a young aspiring mind, I wouldn't relegate it to just the hardwood flooring industry. I'd say it to the flooring industry as a whole. The floor cover. You got to be a member of, I don't know, NWFA. Okay, you got to be. Let's just say that for now, for spitball purposes. You got to be a member of NWFA, and you get this kind of package. You can pull from one of these 3 or 4 types of levels of insurance.
Well, I used to say NWFA because, I mean, I've been a member since '87, and this is the first time. It's only been a few months because I left the company I was with, but all the wonderful and the great things to do, and I've probably missed whatever meeting, but I was like, but wouldn't that be something if that was the next big thing? There's got to be some eager salesperson out there going, wait a minute, you telling me you got 400,000 installers in this country that would like to have some insurance? Man, there's got to be some money in that. And they really need your help. You know, I used to say when I left flooring, and I'd go home after I had poly on my hands and my jeans, I'd run into a store at Christmas, and I used to say they treat me like I'm Julia Roberts on Rodeo Drive. I have money. They won't help you. And then I got my job at Patriot Hardwood Floor Supplies, shirt and tie. I'd go home. I probably don't have a dime on me. They're falling all over me to help me. And I'm like, wow, was I disrespected for having dirty hands and a dirty job? Why? And I used to say, we need to invite floor people to our biggest events, golf, and bring their family. Absolutely. I wanted my wife to see how important I was to my distributor when I come home filthy like that. And then when you go and they go, hey, your husband brings us a ton of business, and how valuable those customers became to me. And why can't we make it a little easier for their lives and their family and the hard work they do? I've seen too many guys go, yeah, my back's broken. I'm going to move down to Florida and live in a trailer because flooring killed me. Or I got friends that are in their 60s going, I can't stop edging for more than a day, or I won't be able to do it.
I can't get back there.
Can't get back there. No, I hear you.
Yeah, I know. I see that too. And if there's anybody that needs it, it's definitely our industry, because it's not overly strenuous. It's just enough to hurt you. You know, you sling a bucket the wrong way, or you sling a pack of flooring, or a box of flooring, or you sling it just the wrong way, and you pull your back out and you're down for a month. What kind of backup plan do you have? And I think that all goes back to the retirement thing too. I think people really need to take very close inventory and pay very close attention to what is it that I want, and start thinking about it as soon as you can think about it. Right? I'm not saying it should. If you're a guy out there 25 and you're running a humble somewhere up and down the floor, you may not think about it as much as the guy who's 47, who's just smashed his toe on one of the pallets in the flooring warehouse. You may not think about it as much, but I think start thinking about it as much as you can, as soon as you can, and how to get out of it. What your exit strategy is. Never take for granted that it is always going to be there, because it could very well not be there. I've seen so many people go before their time. People that I've worked with, people that I have worked for, people that have worked for me, and haven't survived due to whatever reason. I've had multiple things happen, but nobody ever sees it coming, right? I mean, you're lucky. There's the occasional, right? This guy's got terminal cancer. They give him 3 months to live. There's the occasional, but for the most part, you just don't see it coming. And I think from a biblical standpoint, where we should prepare. We should prepare not only our hearts and souls, but our families. Prepare for you not being there as the provider, or you not being able to provide. Maybe you're still there. Maybe you've become a cost center at that point in the family.
Right.
But you do need to be thinking about that. And I think that when I say think about it, a lot of people say that, just in general and in passing. Let me be more specific. Don't only just be thinking about it, but be actionable about it. Be proactive about it. Don't be reactive. You have to start making a plan to exit. You're going
Weigh it
to
out, plan it.
Yeah, you really do.
You know,
and I think that people just they think, well, it's always going to be there. And I've got a friend of mine who is a sand and finish guy here in the city, the best in the entire city, absolutely the best. Only takes the jobs that he wants, and he gets about $11 a foot to sand and finish, which is crazy, unheard of. But he can't afford to quit, and he's 63.
Right.
He's 63, and he's like, man, what could I get as coming as a tech director for you? I give him a price, and he's like, wow.
Right.
I have to take a significant pay cut.
Yeah.
To come. I said, yeah, and he's stuck in it. He's handcuffed into it. Yep. Always think about your exit.
Well, yeah. Think about our exit. By the way, we should do is I have to thank Stauf for them letting you come and speak with me, because I think you're a two-timer. If we just did this a third time, I think we could solve world peace. I think we got
world peace.
World peace.
World peace is next on our next episode.
How to get all the finish out of a birch pre-finished floor and world peace.
And world peace.
All right, I'm going to throw you you know how this drill works. I'm going to throw you my quick fire questions. You're going to answer them as fast as you could, and then we'll set up that third meeting.
Okay.
David Ford, are you ready for this? Now listen,
I'm ready.
Been on
Let's roll.
Before, so I made these special for you.
Thank you very much.
All right. If you weren't in adhesives in this industry, what would you be doing?
Can I answer physically, or do I have to answer?
You just got it. You just have to give it to me.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. What would you be doing if you weren't in the industry?
I'd be a professional golfer.
Oh, man. All right. They make the Lifetime movie channel movie about you. What actor plays you?
Will Ferrell.
I'm gonna tell you, just because I use AI for this, you came up. Gary Farmer, John Belushi, and Andy Richter look the most like you. Okay. Pick only one. This is a tough one. You can only pick one forever. Guitar or banjo?
Banjo.
I thought so. You have LVT, LVP, any vinyl in your house?
None.
Carpet in your home?
Very little.
And a new segment of the show I started a while back with Spriglin and Kent Rogerson. It's called White House, My House, or the Outhouse. But this is the Memphis version, because we all know the hub of the flooring universe is Memphis, Tennessee. You have a choice. I'm going to give you three people. One gets to go to the White House. One gets to be at your house. The other one goes to the outhouse. Justin Timberlake, Aretha Franklin, or Elvis, all from Memphis.
Wow.
Who goes to the White House? Who gets to play at your house? And who goes to the outhouse? Justin Timberlake, Aretha Franklin, or Elvis?
Timberlake.
Where's he going?
Justin Timberlake goes to the outhouse.
Aretha Franklin goes to?
Aretha Franklin, I would probably, because she hasn't spent a lot of time there, and she didn't get the glitz and glamour that she deserved, I'd send her to the White House.
Yeah, because you want Elvis at your house.
That's exactly right.
Still the king.
I'll say this and I'll quit. One of the guys in my warehouse is a friend of mine's son, and his grandmother, my friend's mother, dated Elvis for about 8 months.
Wow.
Post Priscilla, Presley. She's written three books and been on countless numbers of TV shows. And I know her very well, and we talked about how she met Elvis and how the relationship evolved and what it evolved into. And the reason why I would want Elvis at my house, Stephen, is because of the things that she and my cousin, who played lead guitar for him for 3 years, and my dad went and sang with him. They were friends. They were friends in high school. They went to Baptist Hospital and go up and sing with him to his mom. when she was in a hospital, and my dad got to go, and everybody I know that knew him, and everybody I know that talked to him, and everybody I know that was around him said these consistent things that were consistent with one another in different stories. Was he was a perfect gentleman, a perfect gentleman. He loved his friends, who were his true friends, without even to a fault. Short of murder, he would have done anything for them, and he probably wasn't real sure about that. And thirdly, he never forgot, ever forgot where he came from. Never did. And he was just a genuine individual who absolutely hated the fame and fortune that it became, the nightmare it became.
Yeah, it does that. I hadn't thought about him in decades until we were talking about doing my research in that you're from Memphis, and my sister had wanted really badly to go to Graceland. That was for her birthday, whatever. And it sounds corny. I went back and listened. I'm like, man, boy, could he knock it out. He came commercialized later, but his voice, he was a killer. He just was a killer. And when he just walked up on the stage with his guitar before the bands and everything else, the man had it. And, those poor people, they get fame, they get fortune, and everybody has their foibles, and it can torture you. And it got him at the end. He died very, very young. But, like you said, be good to your friends. You know who they are.
Yeah. And it was very, if there was ever a place where it's hard to discern which ones are and which ones aren't, I think in one of those types of situations, it'd be the most difficult.
Absolutely.
You got a lot of money, you got a lot of things, you got a lot to offer people around you. So how do I discern this guy's legit and this guy's, he ain't got my best interest at heart,
I hear you. Well, David Ford, Stauf USA, thank you so much we did this finally. Thank you for being with me. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm so glad you're our two-timer guy. Now we can start a whole club.
World peace. World peace.
And world peace. And don't
and
drugs.
World peace.
Thank you. You take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. And thank you very much for being on All Things Wood Floor.
Thank you, Mr. Griswold. I think you hate it now. Wait till you drive it.
Ooh, don't drive angry, Phil.
All right. I'll see you, buddy.
With peace and love.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of All Things Wood Floor, sponsored by Stauf Adhesives. And don't forget to subscribe to All Things Wood Floor to make sure you don't miss a single episode.